Hello there! Today I thought I would just have a bit of a chat with you about my feelings on reading at the moment, how my reading has been going. I have kind of touched on it here. I'm sure people have picked up on the fact that every month I've been a bit lackluster with my reviews recently. I say recently, I would say I've probably been in what you would call, I suppose, a reading slump for a good year or so. I mean, last year, for example, when I came to looking at what I had read and how high I ranked it, I really struggled to pick out what I would usually do, which is 10 favourite books for the year. I really struggled with that. In fact, I think I only came up with 8 in the end, and even that, some of them were kind of scraping the barrel. And it's weird that that has happened to me, because I have been a person who I always read. I love reading, and it's not that I was at the point where I didn't want to read last year, and so far this year I've definitely wanted to read and I've still been reading a lot, but actually I haven't overly been enjoying it. The books that I have been picking up haven't been blowing me away. It's been a long time since I have read a book that has absolutely wowed me, and if I look back on last year, for example, I can probably pick out about 3 that really had the wow factor for me, and that's quite shocking when you consider that I read over 100 books last year. So I wanted to talk to you at the moment because I have actually, in the past, like this half of the month, I have had a real boost in my reading, and it's making me very happy, and I feel like I've kind of come back to myself. I have also started watching a lot more booktube, because I'll be honest, I've been a poor booktuber recently. Certainly in the past 6 months, I just haven't wanted to watch videos about books because I haven't been enjoying books, and I have definitely been leaning towards other things on YouTube. I think I actually spoke about that and even did a video about the other things that I've been watching on YouTube quite a while ago now, and things hadn't really changed until, as I say, the last half of this month, and now I am gobbling up booktube videos like nothing else. So if I'm suddenly active on your channel and commenting again, that is why. But back to the reading. So the first half of this month I read less than I have in years, because of various reasons, and the second half of this month, I don't know, I can't get enough of books. I literally can't. I'm so excited about reading again. I'm excited to read everything on my shelf. I'm just racing through books so I can get to the next one. And I thought it was worth mentioning because I don't want people to think that I'm always down on reading, and I'm really happy that I am back to being such a voracious reader, because I've always been that way. And it kind of goes back to actually Claire on booktube. I can't remember her surname or her channel name. I will link her video down below anyway. She recently made a video, well, she made 2 videos. She made one video about the fact that she hasn't really read anything in the past 2 years, and she also made a video about how we identify. So she identifies as a reader, and she's feeling a bit lost because actually she hasn't been reading, so is she a reader? And I think that's kind of how I was feeling. So I definitely feel like I've come back to myself now that I'm reading so fiercely. So what I wanted really to talk about is why I think I have regained my fire, just in case anyone else has been feeling like me, where it's just this long-term slump. And it's not such, as I say, it wasn't an extreme slump to the point where I really didn't want to read anything, or where I wasn't looking forward to reading to some extent, but I just didn't have the passion that I usually have. I wasn't enjoying books as much as I usually have. I wasn't excited to get to the next one all the time. So if you're feeling like that, let's talk about why I think my reading has improved so much this month. Now, the first thing is a bit of a surprising one, although maybe it shouldn't be. And the first thing is that I have just not cared. I haven't put as much pressure on myself. So usually in a month I will read an average of 6 to 8 books is kind of what I've been doing in the past year. There was a stage before that when I was reading about 12 a month, but I have definitely slowed down since obviously meeting my partner. At the time I didn't have a job and I didn't have a partner, so I was spending my whole evenings reading. That was why I was getting through 12 books a month. But in the past year and a bit, I have been definitely averaging out at about 8 books a month. And part of the reason that I've been doing that is because I have been splitting my wrap-ups each month into 2. So I wanted to do that because I found that my wrap-up reviews were really long, and also I wasn't saying as much about the books as I wanted to. So I found that if I did 4 books in one review and 4 books in another, I was able to talk about them and really get into them. So yeah, eight books was what I was averaging at, but obviously, as I say, at the start of this month, for various reasons, I didn't read as much. I actually only read one book, I think, in the first 2 weeks of this, well, 1.5 books in the first 2 weeks of this month. So I haven't, probably no one's noticed, I haven't done a partway through April wrap up. And that has worked wonders for me. Now, admittedly, it's going to screw me over when it comes to the end of this month because I've really caught up with myself in these 2 weeks and I'm going to have a lot to talk to you about. But doing away with the need to read 8 books in a month was just fantastic. It meant that I could reach for longer books that I had perhaps been putting off. It means that I don't have to read of an evening if I want to watch a film or go out or do something else. I am able to do that without feeling like I need to rush home and finish a book. It's just worked wonders, and I suppose it's obvious that that should be the case, that if you step back from reading a little bit, it will make you want to read more. I don't know, but yeah, it's definitely stepping back and just taking my foot off the accelerator, I suppose, for a minute has really made me appreciate what I'm reading. It means also, I suppose, in my head that when I pick up a book at the moment, I'm picking it up because I want to pick it up, not because I need to meet some goal that I've set for myself. As I say, I'm still going to have a lot of books to talk to you about in the end because I've been reading more than enough to make up for my lack of reading at the start of the month. But yeah, if you're feeling like you really haven't been enjoying reading for a while, just take your foot off the gear. I'm not saying that you have to not read, because personally I couldn't not have a book on the go, but just don't pressure yourself. If you don't want to read one night, don't, and you may find that you naturally, organically come to your book without that pressure on your shoulders and enjoy it a lot more. Another reason is kind of a bleaker reason, which I'm kind of going to be quite evasive with. I have linked people to my blog before. I always link my blog down below. If you want to know more about the details of this point, then you can go down there and read my latest post. Yeah, it's not as good a thing, but another reason that I have really been enjoying reading recently is because of escapism. So I've really needed to escape reality recently, and reading is always a fantastic way to do that, but I've definitely found that that has been the case at the moment. I'm not a fantasy reader at all, but I actually picked up a Robin Hobb for this exact reason, and it served the purpose so well. It was just wonderful escapism, and I felt like it didn't matter how bleak my day was or whatever, I could come to that in the evening and it was like snuggling up with just fun and something that was light and happy and just fully escapist. So that's been really nice, just escaping into books again. I think a lot of the time I don't necessarily do that, or I don't allow myself to delve into books for quite the same amount of escapism, and certainly so far this year I've just been lost in my head and thinking about everything but the books that I've been reading, which is not fair on the books or me, because it just means that nobody enjoys anything. So escapism is another reason, definitely. Number 3, I think another reason is that I've already touched on the fact that I've kind of been changing up the books that I've been reaching for, or reaching for books that perhaps have been on my shelf for a long time. So for example, the Robin Hobb book, it was The Ship of Magic, and it's a very thick book, and I've been putting it off for about 4 years, and to be able to reach for that was really good. And also it's not the kind of book that I usually pick up. I'm not a fantasy reader. Picking up the Robin Hobb series was for me quite different. I've had it on my shelf for a while just because of recommendations, mainly from Mercedes, and picking it up at this time was just perfect, because I think sometimes it's good to step outside your comfort zone with reading. I guess I'm kind of what you would say a book snob. I don't know. Sometimes I'm a bit of a book snob. I really like literary fiction that does different things with language, uses language in different ways. I think it's just the case that I definitely value language over things like plot and story points and things like that. So in that sense, I suppose you could say that I am a book snob, and I'm quite set in that being my thing. But being able to step outside of that sometimes I think is valuable, and I think you actually enjoy things a lot more than you might. So I didn't think that I was going to find what I usually enjoy in the Robin Hobb book. I just wanted to read something a bit different. So I think if you are stuck in a rut, it definitely pays to step outside that comfort zone. Pick up a book that maybe you wouldn't normally reach towards. Obviously sometimes this doesn't work. Sometimes you're going to end up with a book that you wouldn't normally pick up because it doesn't suit your style. But I think sometimes it can be a really good way back into your style. Step outside it for a minute, and even if you find out that you don't enjoy the book that you've picked up, it can make you appreciate your style more, so that when you come back to the books that you usually read, you will have a newfound love for them. I think that's about it that I wanted to talk about. I think those are the 3 most pressing reasons that I have been enjoying reading a lot more this half of the month. I don't know if that's useful for anyone, but I just wanted to share the book love because I can't get enough at the moment. I really can't get enough. And it's a really nice thing to come back to at the moment. So please let me know down below what your tips are for rekindling your love of reading, and I will see you next time. Bye.